Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes. Thanks for tuning into the podcast today. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and today we're going to talk about a crucial element that's often overlooked on private practice and service-based websites. I call it the one element that helps you book more clients. And I will be honest, it is the one element that I find missing from about 95% of the website reviews I do with students in my Thrive Marketing Academy and clients I work with one-on-one. Websites are a critical piece of your 10 marketing foundations. And actually, websites are the number one foundation because your website is your online storefront. It's the place people go to get in your virtual door. And even if you have a brick and mortar door, an office where people go to meet you in person, the website is still critical in converting potential leads or referrals to becoming clients. So when this element is missing, it can mean lots of missed opportunities for new business and new clients. And that means lost revenue for your practice or business. But first, let's talk about how we can put a little bit of context into this so that you understand what you're missing when this element is an issue. So I want you to imagine you're in a store where you're interested in purchasing something and you have a question to ask about that item. But when you look around, there's nobody to help you, no one to answer that question. You don't know where to go or what to do. If you aren't sure about the item and you want to know that burning question that you have before spending your money and you can't get the questions answered, you're likely to do what most people do, which is turn around and leave the store. A lost sale for that business. Well, that's exactly what's happening on all sorts of private practice and service-based websites I've seen. Visitors arrive, they browse around the website, they check it out, and often they leave without taking any action. But that's because they're not prompted to do anything. When it comes to a website online, you having this element is the same thing as you having a person there telling somebody what to do, where to go, answering the question that they might have, giving them a next step. People leave a store and they leave a website for the same reason. They're not given that next step to take, whether it's just asking a question or even making the actual purchase. And these visitors could be coming to your site because someone sent them there like a referral partner. Now, they also could have found you from a search online or by clicking a link in a post they read somewhere. It doesn't matter how they landed on your website. If you're not telling them how to take the next step, you are missing all sorts of opportunities to turn those visitors into customers. The one element missing that I'm talking about here is a call to action, a CTA. Because every single page, and yes, I actually do mean every page on your website needs to have a clear and concise call to action. Well, only if you want to ensure you're not missing out on leads and potential clients. And the thing is, I don't want you missing out on any of this because that is revenue for your business. Yet without a CTA on your pages on your website, I promise you that you're missing out on opportunities. You're missing out on clients. You're missing out on leads and clients. So today we're going to dive into this one element and talk about it a little more and how you can make sure that you get it on every page on your website. And I really do mean every single page. I cannot emphasize that enough. Every page needs a clear and compelling call to action. You need to be directing people on where they can go to get more information, same as somebody would answer a question in a store. And you need to direct them to where they go to get to the cash and pay for things too. Same thing as what you do online. You send them to where they can go get started with the service that you offer. And I'm also going to finish off today's episode by sharing the biggest mistake practice and service-based businesses make with this element too. So be sure that you stick around and take it all in. So let's talk first about why calls to action are so important. I like to think of them as the street signs for your website. They guide visitors toward the next steps, whether that's contacting you for a consult or a discovery call, learning more about your services, or simply getting to know you better on your About page. Without these signs, these steps to take, and indications of where to go, visitors are left wandering aimlessly or worse, leaving your website altogether. It's the same as that example I shared a minute ago. People will turn around and walk out of a store. I've done it. I'm sure you have too. And people do this all the time with websites. In fact, it probably happens way more than it happens in store. Because in store, we always have that visual perception. People are there, clients are there, they're walking around. So we make sure that we do what we need to guide them. But online on our websites, people tend to forget this, that you have to do the same thing. You're just doing it in a different way. A CTA or a call to action is really a key conversion tool that you have on your website. And that's why it is the one element every website page needs. It's the point of interaction with these visitors, these potential clients. It's where their interest is converted into action. And that action is what can lead to a client walking through your door, whether that's a virtual door or a real door. But it's not just about having a CTA on every page. It's actually more about having the right CTA for each page, tailored to the information on that page and the next step in the journey you want your visitor to take when they're visiting your website. Having effective CTAs matters. So I don't want you to stop listening here and thinking, oh, I just need to go to my website and make sure there's a contact me button at the bottom of every page. Great. And I'll be all set. No, hold up, back up a little bit here. There's nothing effective and strategic about just putting a contact me button on every website page. That is not what I'm talking about here. You want to have effective CTAs that fit each page and the next step. So let's talk about what makes an effective CTA. It really is more than a button that just says contact me or click here. An effective CTA is one that has a specific purpose and incorporates visibility, message clarity, and compelling design. So we are talking about that P word that you all hear me talk about all the time and like to ignore, planning. You've got to plan your CTAs for every page on your website. And there are 4 main factors I look for when I'm reviewing a website and checking for these calls to action. Effective CTAs, the first thing that I'm looking for are ones that are relevant and offer a clear action to take. So this means your CTA should speak directly to the visitor's needs and interests. So it needs to be relevant to what's on the page and gives a clear step of what to do next. And it has to have some value in it for people to understand why they want to take that step. So for instance, on your services page, your CTA could be schedule a free consultation to begin your wellness journey. This is specific, it's action-oriented, and it's tied directly to the content on the services page. On your About page, you might have a CTA button that says, learn more about our nutrition counseling services. You could even have a second one down on the page after some more content that says, book a call, get started now. You want to plan these CTAs for what people may have seen in the content and need to see as well to continue on and make that decision to book a call with you or to sign up and work with you, because both of those things can happen from website pages. The next thing an effective CTA needs is some visual variety. So your CTAs should stand out from the rest of the page content. It still has to feel like a part of the journey that you're guiding people through, but you want to make sure that it just doesn't fit into everything else. So if you have a link to take a next step, a CTA that might be in text, maybe you want to have that text be a little bit larger font, bolder, and maybe even a special color. Maybe you're going to use some buttons in here. Either way, whatever you do and whatever you put on the buttons, how you position them, how you make them stand out, it has to really attract the attention of people as they scroll through the content on your website page. And they need to stand out so that the folks know what they can do if they click that CTA. And this kind of takes us into the next thing, which is effective CTAs need to have consistency and yet some variety in their messages. So, consistency in your messaging doesn't mean you use the same CTA on every page. It's not like what I mentioned earlier when I said this is not the way to do it. You don't want to have every CTA say the exact same thing on every page. The pages on your website, each one of them has a different purpose, and that means they will have a different call to action. Maybe on your home page where you're introducing the fact that you have a team, you would have a CTA that says, click here to learn more about our team. And then it takes them to a page where it may list the different people on your team and possibly more information about each one of them. Maybe you have a CTA on a blog post, because when I'm talking about these website pages, I'm talking about blog posts too. And so maybe you have a post about stress management and you would end that and have a CTA that says, download our free guide to managing your stress in 5 easy steps. The thing about the consistency here is you need to make sure that you are consistent in having the calls to action, but there needs to be variety in what you're putting in them. The CTAs all still need to be very clear about what you're offering and what you want the visitor to do, but you just have to make it fit what is happening on that page and the next step you want them to take. And this is where we kind of come into the next step here on effective CTAs. And they've got to have strategic placement on your website pages, because where you place your CTA can be just as important as what it says. It really should be in a logical place where the eye is flowing naturally through your content. They are typically more effective at the end of a section of content or at the top of a page. And remember, you want to guide your visitors, not confuse them or make them work hard to figure out what to do for the next step. And this is why you want to place your CTAs in a relevant spot in relation to the context of the content. This is why the placement is so critical. And I always say test it by reading the content out loud or having someone else read it to you. I'll tell you right now, the wording sounds very different from when the perspective of someone reading you what's on your website. I find that happens a lot in the free marketing reviews I do. When I read back to people what is on their website, it sounds so different than what they thought they had put on there. And it is what they put there, but then the meaning of it just takes on a different turn when it may not flow as effectively. And so where you put these CTAs really needs to flow with the path you're taking people on with every website page that you have it on. The other thing I want to mention about placement is don't forget about mobile users. In this day and age, everyone should be checking and testing their website pages on a mobile version of your website. More than half of the internet traffic these days on website comes from mobile devices. So your CTAs still have to be easy to find and click on, even on a small screen. So this might mean sometimes you use more buttons or maybe some of the sticky headers that can go at the top of the page and stay there and stay in view as visitors scroll. So the idea is here, plan where you're going to put the CTAs. And although I say the one element every page needs, some pages could have 2 or even more CTAs on them. Again, it's all about the path you want people to take as they visit your website. So those are the 4 factors that you want to include when you're planning the CTAs for your website. Now, I did mention earlier I would share the biggest mistake people make with their website CTAs, and here's what it is. They have CTAs somewhere on the page, but at the very bottom of the website page, there is nothing, no CTA. Here's my rule: never leave them hanging. Never, ever leave your visitors hitting the bottom of a web page and not having any call to action there. If someone has read to the very end of your page, all of the content there, they are interested. They are really interested in what you have to offer. They have read or skimmed all the way to the bottom of that page. And this is your moment. You've built the momentum. Now you need to give them a way to keep moving forward. Maybe it's scheduling a consult. Maybe it's signing up for a lead magnet. Maybe it's reading some related content like something you have on a blog post. Maybe it's getting more info on another page. It doesn't matter what it is, but when people hit the bottom of a page, you need to have a next step. Please promise me you will not leave them hanging at the bottom, okay? That one is a really big one. And this is why you have to really go back to those 4 factors in planning an effective CTA. Because what you have on the page, the message that you want to have, the relevancy of the words that you put in your CTAs, where you have it sitting, the visual aspect to it, how it stands out, and the placement on the page. These are all going to be in the page potentially and have some in other spots on the page. But every time someone comes to the bottom of a page, they need to see some other step to do. It is really important that you include that in here. Now, what I thought I would do here is share maybe a couple of examples. I know I've given you a couple already, but let's try a few more so that you can get an idea of how you can use some on your website. And hopefully these will give you a little inspiration for that. So the homepage, this is often the first place people will encounter your practice or business, whether they have found you online or they were referred to you. So your CTA here could be very broad, okay? But I will tell you right now that every homepage probably in most cases is going to have more than one CTA. So you may want something near the top in case they're all gung-ho and ready to go. And it might say right up at the top, book a free discovery call now. But as they move down further on the page, when you refer to your services, maybe this is where you add a button that says, discover more about our XX services, whatever they may be. Both of these are purposeful and relevant, and they prompt the visitors to explore more on your website. Which, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but when people come to your website and they stick around and they explore added pages, they're staying longer on your website. This activity is something that is picked up by the search engines, and it tells them that this website is a relevant website based on how someone gets there. And what I mean is, let's say somebody did a search online for a dietitian near me. So they come to your website and they read the homepage, and then somewhere on the page, you tell them to go to the services page for more info. So they click over there and go to the services page. And then they're on that page, and you have another CTA that says they can book a call. If they go through and do all that, this activity tells the search engines that your site is helpful to people, especially when they compare it against other sites that people visit from the same search. And if somebody comes to a site and immediately goes back to the search because it's not what they want, that actually tells Google as well that it's not relevant, that other site. But if they're coming to your site, they get on it, they read, they click to another page, they click to another page, they fill out a form. This is gold. This tells Google to send more people to you, and it's how you build your visibility with the search engine so that you start getting more organic traffic. So this is why CTAs are also important. Honestly, I've put this in here as an afterthought, but it really is a big, important part of having these CTAs and this one element you want to include on your website pages. Keeping people on your website should be a very large part of your goal and your planning with CTAs. Longer is always better, but more importantly is the purpose and the plan and the journey that you're taking them on. The added visit time will just happen naturally if you're doing that really well. So let's look at another example, a services page. So maybe on this page, you would have a call to action that might say, find the right therapist for you in words. And then you would say, have a button that says, book a free discovery call. So this is a little more specific and it takes advantage of the visitor's growing interest in talking to someone on your team. I also like to have a CTA on a services page to an appointments and policies page. Because if someone is looking at your services and they're thinking about booking, they may want to know about the rules and how to do this. What are your, cancellation policies, things like that. So, FYI, when you add this call to action to go to the policies page, then once you get them on the policies page, that page should also have a button that very clearly says book now. Because if someone has come to the policies page, to me, they have a lot of interest in potentially booking with you. So you should always have a call to action there that takes them to the step of booking a call. Now, maybe on your About page where visitors learn more about you and your expertise, maybe your team, you could have another CTA there that says, learn more about our specialized services. And this connects them back to the page where you have the different services you offer, which, by the way, that page should also have a book a discovery call button. So I hope this helps you kind of see how they flow a little bit and how planning those CTAs can make this path and this journey happen. They come to your homepage, they visit the services page, they go to the policies page, and then they book a call. Or they come to the homepage, they go to the services page, and then they're just ready to go and they book a call. When you have planned and strategic CTAs, they always work to help you convert more visitors to consults and clients. But without that CTA, without having any conversions at all, you're just having visitors that come to your website. So, 2 things to not forget in all of this planning. Some CTAs that you have out there will be to your lead magnet to get people on your email list. And again, you'll want to fit these into certain places and pages. Direct CTAs, ones like book a call, typically are the ones that you want to focus on more. But indirect or transitional CTAs, like get my free ebook, should be on some of your pages as well, but after those direct CTAs. Lead magnet CTAs are typically used more on blogs to convert people who are visiting your blogs into subscribers on your email list. But sometimes, depending on the content, those blogs may require a direct CTA to book a call too. Maybe they require something that takes people back to your services page. So it really depends, again, on the content that you have. Purpose, variety, and placement matter so much in planning of these CTAs. And that's the lesson I wanted to share with you today. Make sure that you are not missing this one element that helps you book more clients. So, what's your action step after listening to all this today? I really want you to take some time to review the website content on every page, especially your 4 core website pages: your home, your about, your services, and your contact page. And be sure you have included some effective CTAs on each page. Once you do this, you'll start seeing more people taking action when they visit your website because you've told them what to do next. And the last thing I want to say here too is be sure to test out these CTAs. Make sure you're clicking and make sure that you're making sure that they all work. It's not enough to just set up and plan your CTAs and then forget about them. The best practice is to constantly test, check, and optimize them. You'll want to be tracking your numbers and your stats, of course, to know what do you have now and what changes are happening. But even some cursory tracking, like how many discovery calls you're booking or website traffic numbers, these stats can help you know if the changes you're making by adding the CTAs is making a difference. Of course, you can try some basic A/B testing and see which ones perform better. Maybe you want to try book a free consult. Maybe you want to test later out if schedule a discovery call works better. Maybe there are more clicks from a red button than a blue button. There's lots you can do to test. I wouldn't really focus in on that right now if you don't have any CTAs on your website. You want to start with some beginning ones. And I get that this can be confusing. It really isn't something that takes a lot to figure out. But sometimes, when your specialty is therapy or counseling people or, helping folks with their nutrition, whatever it is, that's your specialty. So talking about marketing and CTAs and making sure they're good ones, I get it. It's confusing. Well, if you're finding that you're not sure what to do, why not book a free marketing review with me? We'll look at your CTAs, we'll determine if they're effective or not, and what are some of the beginning steps you can take to improve them for more website conversion. I'll link to where you can book that free marketing review with me in the show notes wherever you're listening to the podcast. Oh, and by the way, FYI, me offering you that free marketing review was a direct CTA, by the way. Hint, hint, that's how easy they work. And you want to make sure you use them all the time on your website and in other ways of doing marketing too. The main lessons to keep in mind here is you need effective CTAs on your website to book more clients. So here's 5 things I want you to remember. 1, every page on your website should have a planned and purposeful call to action, sometimes more than one. Number 2, your CTA should be clear, compelling, and provide the visitor with an obvious next step. They won't miss what you want them to do. Number 3, you want to vary your CTAs based on the page content, but keep them consistent in style and messaging across your site. So you don't want to have them looking so different from one another that people don't even understand that they are a call to action and something they should pay attention to. 4th thing that you want to do here is test and optimize your CTAs on a regular basis. And number 5, never, ever, ever leave your visitors hanging on the bottom of a page without a way to engage further. Always have some sort of CTA at the end of the page. Again, you'll have to plan all this out and think about what you want them to do next. But it really is not that challenging. But if you want some help, I'm here to help you with those free marketing reviews. One thing I would recommend you do is access the transcript for this podcast episode so that you get a list of all these action steps and some more details on each one of these different ways that you can make your CTAs more effective. And you'll find those on the show notes page wherever you're listening to this, or you can click to marketingyourprivatepractice.com/81. This is Kathy Colaiacovo wishing you lots of conversions from your effective CTAs on your website, because you're not going to be missing that one element anymore. And remember, to thrive in practice means so much more than just having a website people can visit and working with your current clients. It's also about the journey you create online for the clients you don't have. Well, not yet, anyhow. I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.